Thanks for tuning into Countdown. My name is Neeraj Shah, and over the next 30 minutes, we'll mark what's happening in the markets. And they've been steady at these levels, really. The Bank Nifty about 2.5% to 3% lower. The Nifty and the Sensex about 1% lower. It's not an alarming fall at all. This, frankly, could have been any other day. And it did not need any kind of intervention from the Reserve Bank of India, the 40 basis points cut notwithstanding. I was actually thinking that the fall would be a lot worse, and it's actually not turned out to be that way, which is not a bad sign. Let's try and figure out what's moving and what's not. So obviously the banks and NBFCs have come off, but I must highlight Kotak Bank. The intraday recovery out there has been pretty strong. Some of the others are still languishing. So Axis, ICICI Bank, IndusInd Bank, HDFC Bank, all of them are correcting. But Kotak Bank has some gains to itself. Well, I mean, I don't know if this got to do with fundraising. The street is awaiting the fundraising and the resultant increase in MSCI weightage. But that notwithstanding, that has done well. The others have not. Bajaj Finserv and Finance too have corrected quite strongly, though I must say again, Finserv was down about 9.5%, and currently about 5.5%, down about 5.5%. So it's not been as bad. But yeah, Kotak Bank pretty strong from the lows of the day. On the flip side, companies which are doing well includes a Z Entertainment, some robust strength, and we were talking about this in the morning as well. The stock is not a short, even if it was not a long, but in today's session it's done remarkably well. It's gone against the trend. And for a counter like Z to go against a trend means that there has to be something out there which is cooking. Let's wait and watch. It showed some strength in the past before succumbing to some selling pressure at 117, coming off all the way to 150. Let's see if this time is different. Cipla, very strong move there. There's some strength in Infosys. Surprisingly, M&M is showing some strength as well. It's one of the few auto names, including Maruti, which is doing well. Though I must say, even Hero MotoCorp is doing okay. But that's from the two-wheeler space largely. And some stocks like Britannia, etc., have done well. What's come off at the broader end of the spectrum too are companies like M&M Financial, BSC Limited, etc., and all of that. So NBFCs have come off, and companies like BSC, which came out with a poor set of numbers, have come off. So BSC is down about 8.5%, M&M Financial 7%, Shriram Transport 6%, Equitas is now 41%, Chola Finance is down about 5.5% as well. So every NBFC has been taken to the clean as well. Almost every NBFC, let me put it that way. What's done well? Coromandel, NIT Tech, Balrampur Chini, and India Cements continues to rise and shine, 4% higher in trade. So really good going for that too. I must say, you should watch out for Jubilant Foodworks too. Has had a very good move in the session. We should be getting in Dharmesh Kant any moment for any moment from now to talk about his. I don't know why I'm getting an echo, so we'll try and patch that. But Dharmesh, we should get Dharmesh Kant in moments from now. But meanwhile, get to Kunal Bambia. He joins in right now with his thoughts. Kunal, good having you. Thanks for joining in. What's your approach to trade this afternoon as we look at it? 3% down for the Nifty Bank, 1% for the Nifty. What do you do?
Yeah, hi Neeraj bhai. Great afternoon. So again, turning out to be a long weekend this time again. I think Bank Nifty and Nifty are still in the comfortable zone. I would not really take this market as a sell on rise market as of now. Last week we had discussed about Nifty zone to be in the approximate around 9,050 to 9,000 mark, and right now we are again back to 9,025 after a decline of last couple of days. And yes, Bank Nifty has been laggard certainly, but if I look at the formation, there has been a falling wedge formation. The trigger remains undoubtedly pending. But looking at the Nifty, I think I'm still comfortable with holding my longs wherever possible, and I'll approach the market from long perspective as of now. Further follow-through selling, if at all next week emerges, then my view may change, but otherwise, this is a zone to certainly go long on stock-specific counters.
Sorry, so you're saying don't go long on the index, go long on stock-specific counters?
Yes.
You reckon the Nifty Bank could correct further, Kunal?
I really doubt on that. Reason being, again, the falling wedge formation, and at the same time, if you look at the 3rd or 4th April Bank Nifty zone, that was somewhere again 17,200 to 250 itself, and we are right now near to that zone again, and falling wedge formation right at the support. So not going short at this point of time, but certainly if someone has a risk appetite, keeping the stop loss of 500 points, one can think of going long on Bank Nifty also. The only concern remains as 3 days long weekend. So again, if someone don't want to play on that, can think of playing on the option front and think of buying say 17,500 to 800 kind of calls on the Bank Nifty front. But I still remain optimistic on indices from this level.
Okay, what about specific stocks then?
Okay, so last time we had discussed about a few cement stocks, and Grasim remained outperformer at least in the last couple of days. So my buy recommendation is on Grasim. Again, the if someone wants to play on a momentum basis, then 530 to 535 is the trigger zone. It's right now trading near to the high of the day. So yes, this is the only trigger zone. I am already long on the counter, personally speaking. But yes, the counter is really very strong. Symmetrical triangle formation is on the chart. So I expect the counter to reach somewhere around 600 zone. I'm keeping the stop loss of 495 for time being. The second is the Ultratech Cement. Now, Ultratech Cement, if you again check out in the last rally, the stock has significantly moved up. And on the daily chart, we have a cup and handle formation. So the trigger is somewhere near to the high of the day. And if at all the stock closes near to high of the day, it's the buy recommendation initiated at this level itself. Keeping the stop loss of 3,500 on the higher side. Conservatively, I'm expecting the counter to reach 4,000 mark. And the third buying recommendation will be Coal India. Again, last week we had discussed about it, saying that if 120 is taken care of, this stock may outperform in the time to come. Obviously, the outperformance is not really on chart, but the stock has bounced significantly and good volume activity is seen. So this counter, if at all, doesn't break 120 mark, I think the counter is heading for 145, 150. So these are my three trading recommendations. And one more investment pick is, it's a bit early to say on this, but yeah, it's Bajaj Finance. We have seen steep decline, but again, the stock is somewhere in the zone of 1850 to 1900 mark itself. By any chance, if this level is taken care of, and in a coming week, if we see a good bounce on the counter, I think 25 to 30% upside in the very short term is very likely on the counter.
Well, let's wait and watch how that shapes up. Dharmesh Kant joins in with his thoughts on the fundamentals. Dharmesh, any cause for any kind of positivity on the NBFCs, or would you uh, stay negative after the moratorium extension?
Yeah, Gautam Neeraj, I think NBFC should be avoided because the negativity is there. This fact was even realized by the monetary policy makers. So that is the reason why the extension of moratorium has been done, and rightly so. So I think there's still a time before you take a call on accumulating NBFCs, and let's see how they survive after when they report the Q1 numbers. So that would be very critical to assess the first, length of damage which has been done there. But apart from that, I think the market looks pretty constructive. If you move out of the BFSI space, so there are plenty of opportunity to get invested into, and to my mind, the market is moving up. I do understand the COVID cases are rising in India, but this will slowly keep on flowing. At the same time, you will have the market rising up in this volatility.
Yes, indeed. Actually, I'm trying to figure out one of those constructive points as well. I think one, did you have a chance to look at the Supreme Industries results? They seemed okay, Dharmesh. The stock is on fire today, 7-8%. Is that indicative of anything?
Not really, but I did not have a chance to look in the result in detail, but I did heard the management on one of the other channels. So the person was very tentative. The management was very confident about the future outlook, and much of the numbers has to do with the lower input prices of the inventory gains and things like that. But the positivity, the point was I was talking about leaders is the fact that if you look at the other geographies of the world, be it Europe and US, there has been a flattening of the curve as far as the vice spread is concerned, and in some places the curve is coming down. So this is without any vaccination in place. So the point with India is when this flattening starts, which has still not been there. But the fight is on. I think the space which looks very attractive to me, Kunal was talking about one of the spaces, cement. So cement is a clear buy from Mihir Vora. At the same time, some of the consumption names, you can still get back to levers of the world, lever and Dower, they should be, accumulated because IMD has forecasted a very good monsoon going forward. And the necessary, cash leverage which should be given to the rural India is already there, and rural India is the least affected from this entire episode. So I think there, the consumption will resume back again.
Okay. Would you be, okay, let's try and talk about some other specifics. You mentioned about some of these things which might do well. I'll look at points which are doing well for themselves already. Ramesh, insurance, every selling gets bought into. HDFC Life, never mind the valuations, would you be a buyer?
Yeah, definitely, yes. I mean, not only this, even the pre-COVID space, I mean, last year, somewhere around September, October, we were always recommending insurance plays to be bought into, and it's a long, long distance to go for them. And all this events, again, reinforces you to at least get some kind of insurance exposure in place for foreseeable future. So insurance valuations will not be justifiable as of now if you look at the embedded value perspective. But I think if you are buying this space for 4 to 5 years kind of a perspective, all are multi-bagger to my mind. And the standout being HDFC Life and SBI.
Yeah, I mean, just remarkable the pullback into HDFC Life as well, 494 or 495, and doing very well for itself. Now, Kunal, just a quick follow-up. Last time around when you were here, you had identified some shooting star pattern on Z Entertainment. You gave it a good short call. It came off, but it's bounced back very, very strongly. It's back to those levels. What did the chart suggest here? Is this up move from 150 to 160, 164 odd, looking strong and promising?
So again, today I'll give absolutely contra view on the same. So if you look at the today's bounce, it's very encouraging, and at the same time, good volumes are happening on the counter. See, it's a rising wedge kind of formation again, and that's not triggered out on the lower side. We immediately discussed on the next day itself. Stock was down, but again in consolidation again. So today, if someone wants to go long on the counter, keeping the stop loss of 150, one can expect the counter to reach around 180, 185, and again at that point of time, we may think of shorting the counter. But at this point of time, absolutely buy on the counter.
Okay, absolute buy on the counter. Well, it's a tricky one to trade, so be mindful of that, or invest for that matter. But let's wait and watch what happens. The move, Dharmesh. I don't know if you get a chance, but while a lot of people would argue about the relative strength of the franchise, and it's one of the two companies only, which is Bombay Stock Exchange, and it's one of the two exchanges, somehow the results fail to encourage it. Stock is down at the lowest point of the day, down about 8%. A lot of people have this stock, and which is I'm asking you, what do you do with BSC?
I would recommend to sell it because
you book losses.
Yeah, to book losses and be out of the space. I mean, there are many more opportunities there which can give you a phenomenal return going forward. So these are, purely transaction-based, plays, and depending upon the volume growth and very less kind of a CAGR growth you can get on that. And transactions-based charges can come down going forward if you are trying to attract volume in such kind of a volatile market. So always better to be out of, spaces where your upside is capped as far as, per capita revenue is concerned. I mean, per transaction revenue, if that is capped, there is no point playing a volume game out there. We have seen it earlier in the case of telecom, if you remember, Neeraj. So right now the scene has totally transformed because it's a new avatar in which we are seeing entire telecom space. But earlier, the same, problem happened with them. And to my mind, even in the telecom space, after a while, they will also hit the ceiling as far as valuations are concerned.
Okay. Now we've got some queries and I'll try and take them. This is, by the way, viewers, the last time that we're doing this show countdown. And then we'll try and bring it in a refined fashion. But while we are all at it, let's try and get some queries going. Kashyap Kothar is asking for a view on SBI cards. Dharmesh Kant, any thoughts here on SBI cards?
Yeah, SBI cards, it has disappointed most of the investors post the listing. But still, I think such kind of declines should be used to buy it, and it does have a promising future. So, if the person is already invested into it, my recommendation would be to hold on to it. But the horizon should be long. It should not be a trading kind of a view which he is taking for a couple of months kind of horizon. It should be a long-term horizon, then it's fine.
Okay, so that I hope that answers your question, Kashyap. From a long-term horizon, yes. Preeti Nair is asking for a technical view on Coromandel International. Kunal, I'll come to you on this one.
So again, the formation is very strong. The counter has surpassed the previous all highs. So keeping the stop loss of around 605, one can ride the rally. I think the new rally is emerging on the counter. It's very promising. And yes, of course, the entire sector is buzzing. So this cannot be an exception. A best buy from my side on.
Okay, Coromandel International stock is at I think trading at new 52-week highs for itself. So really good going. There is a question on a fundamental perspective from Krishna Reddy on a long-term view on Bajaj Finance. Kunal spoke about the chart formation. Dharmesh said that he'll stay away from NBFCs at large. Would Bajaj Finance also be that case? Would you stay away from it? Or is it near an attractive zone and you would maybe do an SIP here, Dharmesh?
I'm afraid, as far as Bajaj Finance is concerned, we remember last interaction we were speaking about it was valuing that day, and I still have my doubts about the basic pillars on which the company is standing as of now. So the advice would be if the person is invested into the Bajaj Finance and he wants to be in the BFSI space, so switch on. He should be selling Bajaj Finance and buying rather ICICI and Kotak Bank on an equal weighted basis rather than staying on with Bajaj Finance, because even at current levels, the valuations are pretty high. Assuming that by the time we end FY21 and even half of the growth rate is, it ends the year on a positive note. What I mean to say is it ends the year FY21 by say 5 or 10% kind of a growth from where FY20 ended. Then also the valuation is pretty stretched for Bajaj Finance. So because when the earlier valuations are based on a growth trajectory of 30-35% on an annual basis, which will not be the case going forward at least for a couple of years. But these two are strong candidates. Kotak Bank and ICICI Bank, who would be eating into the NBFC space in a very fast and bigger way. So advice would be switched to these two stocks.
Okay. By the way, I want to mark TVS Sri Chakra. They launched e-ordering facility. I think that article came in overdrive, and that stock is up about 20%. A really strong move there by TVS Sri Chakra. Do watch out. I don't think the other tire companies would have done that, but TVS Sri Chakra certainly are doing that. So that stock is very, very active too. Okay, couple of more queries, and then we'll of course get in some other. We'll get in Pritesh as well to give us his views. But one query is from Nishant Abraham. He's out asking for an outlook on HUL and Asian Paints. Do we have? Okay, Kunal, to you first. Asian Paints, a very strong bounce the last 2 days. Can it last, or would you sell this?
So of course, Neeraj bhai, so I'm very bullish on the counter, and honestly speaking, we yesterday only initiated a buy for a very short period of time. I think the counter is heading for 1750 kind of zone. That's where the gap is, and this is the entire correction which is over, and now we are heading for an impulse. So 1750 first, and followed by probably 1850 to 1900 mark. This would be 15 days view, so keep the stop loss of around 1520 and ride the rally.
Okay, the stop loss of 1520, right? The rally, do watch out. Asian Paints, the Goldman report, of course, says that the stock is headed, or their target is 1111. So keep that in mind as well. They believe that structurally this space has become weak, but Kunal believes the charts are looking strong. Pritesh Mehta also joins in. Pritesh, Nishant had another question of outlook on HUL, and I really wanted to ask you about some of these names as well. Any thoughts on HUL, Britannia, or Nestle? Any one of them, and HUL in particular?
Now, see, if you look at the structure of FMCG index, I think it is looking quiet at the moment. It has did ups and downs the last couple of weeks, but I think it's going through a correction phase or consolidation. We can say that. I'm not expecting any big movement in HUL in particular, because we had that multiple events, multiple news taking place in HUL. Now I think it's going to consolidate between 1900 and 2100 for next couple of weeks. So I'm not expecting a big move on this counter, but yes, if you look at something like Nestle, Britannia, I think they could be a big outperformer if someone is willing to keep them for 5 to 6 months.
Okay, so those are some thoughts on a few of these very active names in the session today. We are the times it helps to stick to large caps, but some mid-sized names too have making some very interesting moves. Dharmesh, I'm forgetting what your call was earlier on them, but Inox and PVR, what would your thought be now? For somebody who's holding on to these stocks, what should he or she do?
Neeraj, this is just a trading play. If one wants to take a punt on them, from a medium-term perspective, because in most likelihood by the end of June, the permission may come to them to open their, the cinema halls. So if that happens, the theaters will resume operational. Still, the social distancing norm and everything will be there, because occupancy rate is going to be too low, as will be the case in airlines, as people have been talking about. So behaviors are going to change, and it's very difficult for them to bounce back to pre-COVID days. So it's very early say. But yes, if somebody is looking for a trading play from say 2 or 3 months kind of a perspective, then the risk reward ratio does look in favor. But it would be a high risk trade rather than our investment play.
Okay. What is not doing well, amongst other things, is Ashok Leyland. And we'll try and get some fundamental view on that as well. But first, 9 minutes left for the final countdown. Let's get in some closing strategies. Pritesh, to you first. That one stock which would be your top closing strategy today.
Now, see, we in the last time on the show last week, we were bullish on the auto space, and in fact, we had recommended a buy on M&M this time around. But yes, the stock has moved up $10 in last 10 minutes. So I'm expecting a further more upside. We can see a rally of at least 7-8% even from the current levels. See, auto index has been outperforming Nifty index since the month of April. And if you split it out further, something like Bajaj Auto, Hero Moto, M&M and Escorts, they have been the torch bearers within the auto space and recent outperformers. So I'm expecting this movement to continue. If you look at the 100 figure charts, we can see double top breakout. We can see, the setup is completely bullish. Yes, a 7-8% rally is possible in M&M from here on.
Okay, so watch out for that one. Kunal, you've given 2-3 ideas, but if you had to bet on one top idea that you would initiate a trade on right now and carry it home.
So, Neeraj, so I'm very bullish on Bank Nifty at this point of time itself. So I'm picking up the Lagarde stock in it for the day, which is HDFC Bank. Stock is in the consolidation of around 830 zone. It tried going above, say, 900, but again came back to 830. And from there, right now, it's bouncing very significantly in last half an hour. So, keeping the stop loss of around 825 to 830, I'm initiating a buy, and I expect the counter to reach, say, around 940, 930 kind of zone. So, $100 up from this level, say, in couple of, maybe 2 weeks' time. So, keep that on radar.
Okay, well, if the bank needs to do well, HDFC Bank has to do well. So you have to keep that in mind. Are there stop losses? Sorry, I heard you mention a stop loss, Kunal, for this.
825 on the lower side and 920, 930 on the higher side.
Okay, 825 is a stop loss, so do watch out for that. Remember, we have a long weekend as well, so keep that at the back of your mind. Okay, will Reliance participate if indeed we have a rally upwards? That's the other key thing, right? We haven't spoken about the big boy. We haven't spoken about Bharti at all. Dharmesh has given his fundamental view last week. Pritesh, any quick thoughts? Which is looking, would you trade either Bharti or Reliance? If so, which one between the two?
I think Reliance had its fair share of correction after marking the recent peak around 1570, 1580 levels. It has corrected a bit. Yes, I think it's a good time to get into it. Now, see, if you look at this market, just ignoring the financial space, the bank nifty space, it is doing quite well. So I think Reliance, if it is available around the levels of 1420, 1430, I think it's a good buy. Even from trading perspective, we can see a run up back to 1520, 1530 in the next couple of weeks.
Okay, so watch out for Reliance Industries. Let's wait and watch if there is some rally or merit out there in the next few days. Frankly, viewers, if Reliance were to do well, I think the market itself would probably get some legs. The question is, can it do that? The last few days, Vodafone Idea has come in the realms of conversation. A lot of people have been trying to talk about it. So do watch out for that stock as well. The one that has done very well the last 3 days is Quest Corp. Dharmesh Kant, any thoughts here on Quest Corp?
Yeah, the valuations are still expensive. But having regard to the promoter, Mr. Premdat, and the only trajectory which they have adopted is inorganic growth. So they have been buying out companies. And in such times when, cash flow, most of the service provider companies are, stretched. And this company has the financial strength and muscle to, buy them out. So I think once the situation normalizes, again, you will hear a plethora of acquisition activity happening in Quest Corp. And that makes it a good buy from current levels, because the more the organized levels where they will be moving into the organized segment now, having seen the kind of a plight which they have to undergo, at least organized segment, you have something to look up to and something to talk to cater to your financial needs in case of an emergency. So these events will make companies like Quest Corp all the more, emerging into the space, and valuations one has to ignore for the time being, because the opportunity which lies there is far greater than the valuation to be made the point of condition as of now. So to my mind, it's a clear-cut buy.
Okay. Well, what else? As I said, Supreme Industries was doing okay. India Cements has done very well for itself, 4% higher. I mean, and by the way, it's not just India Cements individually. Some of the other cement stocks too have done well. Dharmesh, before we thank you, would you be buyer in cement? And if so, which cement name?
Yeah, Neeraj, cements, though I'm fully aware that monsoons are hitting soon and this is a time when cement stocks don't perform. But I do believe that activities will be there and we have seen the prices coming up in spite of, lack of demand coming through. So cement is a pretty attractive space and this is a great employment generation as far as construction activities are concerned. So cement it goes into them. And to my mind, the best topic out there would be Abuja Cement followed by Ultratech.
Okay, Dharmesh, we'll leave it at that. Thanks so much for joining in and giving us your perspective. Appreciate your time. Kunal, very quickly, India Cements, it's closing in at 52-week highs. Does it look good for more?
So Neeraj, by last week also we had discussed about it. I had said that either a breakout of 115, we can ride the rally, or say wait for the counter to come down a bit. But unfortunately, it has not really come down, and it gave a swing trade, but not at this point of time. I would not initiate any new position. I'll wait for again 115 to come back before initiating any buy.
Yep. Okay. So that's the fair disclosure. He wouldn't do it at this point of time because the risk reward may not be in the favor. Any other cement name, Kunal?
So I already recommended one, which was Ultratech Cement. I'm extremely bullish on it. The counter is seeing very fantastic closing. So among the entire pack of cement, I think Ultratech is something which is an eye-catching for me as of now. Go long on the counter. The risk reward is extremely favorable, and this may turn out to be a swing trade in a week to come.
Okay, Pritesh, if you haven't spoken about HDFC, I don't think you have. Does it look weak or does it look near some supports?
See, as I mentioned earlier, the pain point for this market has been the financial and the bank nifty space. Now the stock is trading around the levels of 1500, which was last seen back in April, the start of April. So yes, the rallies are not sustaining in this counter. I think this stock is going to go this phase of time-wise correction. So we won't see a sharp move on the upside. Maybe around 1450, 1560 odd level, the stock will consolidate. But I think I won't be too much gung-ho bullish on this counter, at least for the next couple of months.
Okay, gentlemen, stay on. Let's just start wrapping up the markets. And I must say, it's not turned out to be as bad a day as I had earlier thought it would. Frankly, I mean, it's almost, yes, we are down about 58 points on the Nifty from the levels that we closed yesterday, but that's hardly anything. I mean, there's not been a severe carnage sort of a situation that we've seen in the markets. The fears were that we'll have a stiff downtick. That hasn't happened, and this extension of the moratorium, if that wouldn't have happened, the Bank Nifty could actually have done better. So the global cues are not quite deterring the Indian sentiment in the session today. Let's look at the key culprits being the banks. So HDFC Bank, even though it's recovered a bit from the lows of the day, down about 2%, it's a heavyweight. Then ICICI, HDFC, Axis, all of these came off. Reliance ended the day in the red, which is not a great sign as well. Bharti Airtel hasn't been doing too much in the last few days. What's done well? Z, Mahindra & Mahindra, Shree Cement are amongst the names that have looked slightly wobbly in the session. So those are a few that you need to mind. Z1, Z Industries, Z Limited, in fact, is closing in at the highest point of the day, 164 half, 165. So really good going. Shree Cement is up about 3%. Ultratech is up about 2%. So really good going for the entire bucket. That mid-sized NBFCs have been clobbered. So M&M Financial, Chola Finance, Shriram Transport, Indiabulls Housing Finance, all of them, without exception, down and out. BSE Limited, bad results, down and out. What's done well? Well, Supreme Industries, good result reaction, doing well, 6.5%. Strength in Coromandel at 52-week highs, up about 4.5%. Strength in India Cement, strength in NIT Tech on the back of that buyback announcement that they did. ACC is up about 3.5%, as I already said. And some strength in Escorts, 907, a remarkable move there for Escorts too. So that too has done very, very well for itself. All in all, not a bad day of trade at all. You would actually have to say that even though the Sensex has closed down 0.8%, the Nifty Bank just down 2% is actually not a bad deal. The question is, will Tuesday, because Monday is a holiday, will Tuesday be yet another day of a downtick? Or is it difficult to call that right now? Now, Pritesh, I want to come to you. Kunal, of course, has given his thoughts, but Pritesh, I want to come to you. what is your sense? So you mentioned the weakness in the Nifty Bank. Would you reckon that could continue to drag the markets lower, or is it near some key supports?
No, in fact, I was just going through the ratio of the Nifty Bank against Nifty Index. In today's trade, in fact, this week's trade, it has breached the low of Feb 2016. So it tells me that Bank Nifty is going to be, the major dragger, and there is no point sticking to the stocks, identifying ideas from this basket as of now, because we will get attractive levels later on. But excluding financial banks, there is plenty of opportunity outside this space. I was just going to the Nifty 500 index. Now see, there are 50% of the stocks on the 500 index which are trading above their 50 moving average. So there's a tremendous improvement in breadth. Last time around, this percentage figure which was trading of 50% was seen last in January or Feb. So we have seen a good pickup in breadth, which is a good sign. Autos are doing well. Even metals, they have been sideways, not providing any movement, but they are not correcting. So I think we should be clear in which space we should focus our attention. And banks, as of now, they are not providing anything.
Yeah, that's true. And you have to argue. Maybe I make an argument that even that is not that is an observation which is right. But maybe Kunal's point could also be taken that the market hasn't cracked as badly as people thought, and maybe it is near some supports as well. Oh, let's wait and watch. I would reckon that if we hold on to that sheet anchor level of 9,000 on the Nifty, and if banks don't crack too badly, then we would probably have, and that is Tuesday that I'm talking about, and we may not have as bad a day. Viewers, remember, this Monday is the last holiday until October 2nd. Now we do not have any working day holidays in the markets for the next 4 months. So be mindful. 5-day weeks each week until October 2nd. Kunal, to you, and you were bullish on the Nifty Bank. I would want to know, in your bullish stance, where is it that you believe there could be weakness? There would be some pockets which would not gain. Which are those?
So, as of now, honestly, if I just focus on risk reward ratio, I'm not able to find any space where, the risk reward ratio is unfavorable for going long. Yes, I would, think of actually buying those counters which are near to the support zone. Reason being, if market has to go up and if Bank Nifty has to participate, Bank Nifty will definitely participate first. And even if Bank Nifty goes up by, say, even 1,500 to 2,000 points from here, the HDFC and, the other counters can give us a very good trading opportunity. I'm certainly not saying that we are done with the long-term bottom. I think, for a month we may see an uptick, and, so I'll still stay overall bullish on the market. I'm not really able to find any weak counters as of now, because that's probably the mindset which I'm sitting with. But yes, I'm extremely bullish on cement, and the second is banking, and in banking I'm very bullish about HDFC Bank formation.
Okay, Chairman, both of you, will leave it at that. Thank you so much for taking the time out and being with us. It's been a pleasure talking to you. Thanks much for being with us today. And viewers, as I said, thanks so much for being with us on Countdown all through the last few days. I just want to leave you with a very interesting market voice, and that's Mihir Vora. But as I said, thanks so much for tuning into the Countdown all through the last few weeks, months, years that you've been with us. We'll try and bring you important market shows and important conversations all through the next future as well. But this was the final countdown. Thanks so much for tuning in today. As we leave you, hear out Mihir Vora. He's the Chief Investment Officer at Max Life, who believes that there is still some pain in store for the Indian markets and believes that the global markets might stabilize faster than India would.
It looks like most of the package is in the form of liquidity and credit support, not so much direct support to businesses and workers. And the extent of lockdown and the extent of loss of business that we are seeing would mean that many small businesses are under great stress and might have to shut shop in the next month. And those job losses, then, if you look at the newspaper headline today, Economic Times also, they have given a list of potential job losses, will be difficult to recover from. So, it looks like we are in for the long haul now.
Long haul now. Mir, there is this whole bit of optimism around what the markets could do in the near term because economies open up, etc., etc. But we have this whole global cloud that has suddenly developed, isn't it? The US-China spat was not enough. China's move into Hong Kong. There is some skirmishes yesterday that I read on our website about skirmishes happening along the Indo-China border as well. Are all these signs that could make the markets nervous, you think?
Actually, I'm a bit more sanguine about the global situation than the domestic, actually, as we speak. And that's because of the sheer size of monetary and fiscal stimulus that central banks and governments are doing in the Western world, including Japan and China. So in Asia, whether you talk about Japan, China, Korea, Singapore, the big economy, and then in the Western world, you look at most of the European countries, including Germany, which is supposed to be so fiscally prudent, and of course the mother of all stimulus packages in the US and the QE LTRO that they are doing out there. It's a massive, you can't even call it a bazooka, it's more of a nuclear option that the Western economies are using. And to that extent, it's also reflecting in the market performance of the Western world. So US and Europe to that extent are actually outperforming, India and Asia to that extent. So I think what we may see is that the global economy, especially the Western markets, might do better, at least in the short term, until the time that people gain confidence that even India is coming back. So I'm not too worried about on the global front because they are using all possible options to keep liquidity, and all these tensions and volatility that we see are being washed out by the liquidity flood that the Fed is doing.